All right, welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Engineer Josey alongside
Spencer's here.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. If it wasn't a snowstorm outside,
Why April. Everywhere we're going, it's just snow everywhere.
I don't know. Maybe Mother Nature's trying to pay us back for something. That's just like she's petty. She owes us something. Like we owe you some snow.
She was like, you guys don't belong on spring break. You should have stayed home.
Yes.
Should have went south instead of coming up north.
Yes.
Dealing with this snowstorm.
Like you guys know better. Come to the Midwest.
I'm enjoying myself. It's good to be in Michigan and Ann Arbor specifically.
Yeah, we seen Bill Belichick on the way, and he's doing the recruiting.
It's some really weird things happening out here in Michigan.
Definitely, yeah, you stand on the corner. I will work for a quarterback. It's crazy. You stand inside. Bill Belichick. He up there, no hat, no gloves. He had cutoffs, sweatshirt. It's crazy.
Freshly shaved. And
yes,
everything.
absolutely. It's crazy. Never seen nothing like it.
It's absolutely crazy. But we just came from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Shout out to Pittsburgh and Dr. Robick out there and the wonderful things she got going on out there. Your thoughts on that podcast?
Oh man, she is outstanding, and she truly has a heart for the special ed population. And her improvement, like she's talking about, she's doing 13 hours and she's getting 2 grade levels. I mean, that's really impressive.
That is a lot.
That's unheard of. It really is.
Right.
You spend 13 hours with me, I can get you first, 3rd grade.
I'll tell you what the most impressive thing for me is the fact that she didn't want to talk about being petty, and you somehow squeaked it in there.
Oh yeah, I have a way to identify petty people. It's petty terms that I use to bring out that pettiness.
Want people to embrace your pettiness.
You have to.
That's funny. Just some housekeeping things. We want to. We got the Patreon out there on Podbean, so we need some support here on the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. So we asked for some donations to keep this thing up and running because this equipment is not cheap.
No.
And, the travel is not cheap, and the things that we're doing is not cheap.
Absolutely.
So if you like the content, drop some money in the bucket. We can. There's an opportunity for you to be on the show. We'll send you some merchandise. We got the Empowerment Perspective hoodies and some other things coming along. So we can drop you some merchandise. And if you own a business or anything out there, you want to promote that, it's a great way to get sponsorship for us, but at the same time get your word out there because we are expanding.
Absolutely,
and it's huge right now. It's amazing because we got people all the way from New York City all the way down to Florida. We're in Oklahoma, Texas. There's some out in Oregon hitting us up. So Michigan. So we're expanding our reach a little bit, which is awesome. So thanks for those who are following, and make sure that you continue to do so.
Yes.
So today, special guest on the podcast.
Yes.
He might let go some family secrets. And he's going to tell some lies here and there.
That's what we're hoping for.
I don't lie.
I figure
you stretch the truth.
I stretch the truth.
Well,
it
should be every other podcast. They need to go in on you. That's how I feel.
You need to get yours, brother. You need to get
That's petty. That's petty.
It is petty.
Listen, I don't want no parts of it. You can just keep it all to yourself. So every other podcast we bring somebody on that's just going to go in with you.
I understand. Listen, I'm an open book anyway, so it ain't nothing that I haven't happened before. But somebody that's on the podcast, this is the oldest of the Josey brothers by I believe 7 minutes. So he was definitely the oldest one. Somebody I looked up to. He was a different kind of brother because I could chill with him. We would dance and have fun and things of that nature. It wasn't always serious. But as I told you, we was chilling before in the restaurant.
Yeah.
He's all the ones that will sit back and then all of a sudden he'll say something and make you think.
Then walk away?
I'm like, y'all just had a 45-minute conversation with you, pouring my heart out. He'd be like, such and such.
Yes, chew on that, grasshopper. I'll be back.
And drop the microphone and be done with it. I'm like, this guy's crazy. But he's currently an electrical engineer, works for the company Bose, flies around the world, does crazy things. Obviously, you guys know my story and where we come from. So just to see my brother do things that he's doing on that level is amazing, and somebody that I definitely look up to, even though I shouldn't admit that.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you say that again? I'm really enjoying that.
It's for the ratings. It's really hurting me right now. But I do appreciate everything that he's done for me in the past, and I, just look for somebody to look up to. And it's the type of person that'll always be there for you. But let's just make some noise for Rashaan Josey in the building. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. You just flew 45,000 hours from China, and you're here, and I see the bags under your eyes and everything.
Yeah, no doubt. I am definitely tired. 12 days in China. Got home yesterday, and here we are.
Wow, dude. Who'd you have on the trip with you?
So I went with my oldest daughter, Martha. We went on a school trip. We spent 12 days in China and went to Beijing, Shanghai.
Talking about a school trip. What
and
kind of
Hangzhou.
school you got going on a school trip to China?
Public school. So all my kids have taken Chinese for several years. Martha, I think, is in her 5th year of taking Chinese. And my son Langston is now a senior in high school, and he's on his 7th or 8th year of it.
That's crazy.
So it was part of the school curriculum. We went over, spent 12 days. It was phenomenal. Highly recommended.
I think we need to put that in our curriculum.
Well, I only know one word. ChiCi. That's all I know.
Thank you.
That's all I know.
You curtsy.
That's all I know. I took Mandarin too. ChiCi. That's all I know.
That's impressive. I didn't think you knew that.
I
Yes,
don't
that's
speak
right.
it either.
Yeah, that's all.
So they be talking about you. You don't even know it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it's like being in a hair salon or a nail salon.
That is absolutely crazy. So, explain what you do, and as much as you can. What do you do as an electrical engineer for this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as Miso mentioned, I work at Bose. I'm actually responsible for our technical sales organization for our automotive division. So my title is actually Director of Global Technical Sales. Me and my staff, we work with our sales organization to help sell and promote our technology into automobiles. So we sell the speakers, the amplifiers, and the software that you might get in a Mazda or a GM vehicle. I have staff in a number of countries around the world, which is partly why I travel a lot. I have staff in China, Japan, Korea, Germany, France, of course here in the U.S.
That is absolutely crazy.
You said he has staff. Yeah. So what happens when you show up in the building? They start whispering like, "He's here! Listen, get to work. He's here.
I'm hoping they clap.
They like make some noise.
Rashaan's here. Everybody, Rashaan's here."
That's crazy. Wow, that's absolutely insane. I actually have a Bose story, and you're gonna slap me for this because I'm upset that this happened. I bought a pair of headphones from you.
Yeah.
It's the best headphones that I ever had in my life. And my daughter was coming out of gymnastics, and I usually have them on my head.
I'm already shaking my head.
You are.
Oh, wow.
Dropped it on the ground, and then I didn't know it. I ran over my headphones, and it hurt. These like $375 headphones that I just ran over, and that's why I got these little stupid iPhone. No disrespect to iPhone and Apple. If you want to be a sponsorship, you can do that. But that's why I got these little stupid headphones in my head and not my Bose. It really hurt my feelings, though.
I
It's
got
crazy.
you, man. I definitely got you. Just let me know what kind you had.
Oh, that's awesome.
You gonna replace him?
Yeah, I'll replace them, absolutely.
You hear that? That's what I'm talking about. So
Man, well, you're my favorite brother too.
we got that on tape. Y'all heard that.
That's an easy one.
Y'all heard that one. So in terms of, I guess, your travels and things, we're starting to hit the road. One of the things that I struggle with is my diet on the road. Now, I know you run marathons and do all kinds of crazy stuff too, or you used to back in your younger day. You like 50 now.
I still run.
That's impressive. But
Man.
so how if someone travels a lot, like what's the secrets to having a healthy diet?
Well, firstly, it starts with getting rest. You need to be able to find time to sleep when traveling, which isn't always easy, particularly when you're in another time zone. You also need to find time to work out. Get committed to doing that. I'll get up at 5 a.m., 3 a.m. I'll work after work. Whenever I can get it in, you get it in. With regards to diet, man, that's hard. Specifically in the business that I'm in sales, because you're constantly eating, entertaining, and eating is such a big part of business these days. But you do what you can do.
So I have a question. Has it ever been a time when you sat down at a table and you're in China, they bring it, and you look at it and say, "I'm not eating that."
So
I'll say no in a second. No, I'm not eating that. Absolutely.
You just did it 2 seconds ago. It's tomatoes and tomatoes.
Oh yeah. Listen.
I mean, it's called tomato soup.
I've never really had a real good tomato bit soup before, right? So we're at the restaurant, right? And I'm in my bowl and I'm digging like, what is this? It's actually tomatoes and like, it's not supposed to. Yes, it's not supposed to be no tomatoes. It's no tomatoes though.
So you eat
Actually, I'm like, I'm eating this.
That Campbell's soup.
Absolutely.
That condensed stuff.
So she comes back. She says, "You didn't like the soup?" No, the soup was great. I'm not eating this. I told her, I'm not eating
You should
this.
have told her you didn't like it.
That's what he said. I said, "No, I'm not doing that."
You should do that.
What's the weirdest thing that you eat?
So to answer his question
my
first,
fault.
look, I'll eat anything once. I'll tell people
Even if it
that
comes to
all
the table greasy and slimy?
I will eat anything once. I've had some crazy stuff. Now, there's a long list of stuff I won't eat again.
Okay.
That's for certain.
Okay.
But to answer your question, man, I've had raw horse meat.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, raw horse meat. And
What was the name of that movie that Dr. Ruby talked about with the horse? Remember she was
Oh,
like...
Seabiscuit. Yeah. That is,
That's not even the craziest thing I ate. That was probably one of the more disgusting things I ate. I've eaten in Japan a thing called milt, milt.
Milt.
Milk.
That sounds like a person. Like
Yo, he ate milk.
You might not want to say that too proudly. It's actually fish sperm. So
whoa, wait.
yes, I said that correctly. I don't think I'll do that again.
No,
Did it the first time.
it had to be a multi-million-dollar deal on the table.
It was an important dinner.
Okay,
So,
all right.
for
You
sure.
got to take.
But
I don't know if you take that for the tea. I don't.
Yeah, look. Typically, what I do is if someone at the table will eat it,
He'll eat it.
I'll eat it. If
Makes
they can
sense.
stomach it, I can stomach it.
Now you go first.
Yeah.
All right, I understand that.
No.
But that's how you expand your horizons.
That's what you call it. I call it being disgusting.
Nah, definitely. In some countries, eating is critical. It's part of their cultural experience, right? They spend a lot of time preparing meals. It's offensive sometimes if you don't eat the meal that they put in front of you.
Right.
So it has little to do with the actual business sometimes. It's just culturally.
Because you have to do that before you get to the business.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the business sometimes happens a lot later than dinner. In some
It's
of
like
these countries.
eating Kareem's macaroni and cheese.
Oh,
You're
that
like, I know it's disgusting. He's like, why ain't you eating?
Go ahead, eat some more. Have more. Clean your plate. Hurry up. Clean your plate.
That
That's
is funny. So why did you decide to get into the field of engineering?
That's a great question. I would like to say it's because I was good at math and science, but the truth of the matter is two reasons. In middle school, I had a science teacher called Mr. Porter, who I don't even think you had. I think he was gone by the time you came through. But my mom said I always came home just telling stories about what Mr. Porter said. So it was,
Mr. Porter said.
Yeah, Mr. Porter said, and I think that was the first time that I really got interested in science. But I didn't choose engineering until senior year. One day was taking out the trash, and our Aunt Edie, lived across the street. And she asked me what I was planning to study in school. I had no idea, truthfully. I was thinking I was leaning between communications and something. She said, well, you look like an engineer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why I became an engineer.
I did not.
Because somebody
know
said,
that. Somebody
this is what you
said
look like.
that you look like that.
Someone who I hardly ever spoke to.
And it's amazing for where we grew up because there was no engineers in our neighborhood.
No.
So, I don't even know where she got that image from. So
No
she was
idea.
saying you look like Albert Einstein at the end of the day.
She politely said I look like a nerd. And I went with it. No idea why I chose electrical engineering. It just sounded difficult.
Wow. That's really interesting.
It is.
So after, we'll get into your high school, college, and then, sports and stuff like that. But when you left Delsea Regional High School, you chose to go to an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
And part of it was athletics. But
Correct.
why Penn? Yes, I'm going there already. Why Penn?
So the why Penn answer is really rooted in what happened at Duke. As if you recall, Duke was where I was going.
You were headed to Duke?
I was headed to Duke. I
impressive.
wanted to go to Duke, so Duke was recruiting me for football. They had me down for an official visit. Went to the Duke North Carolina basketball game. Still the best basketball game I've ever seen
Who
in my life.
played in that game? Your mommy
Grant
asked me.
Hill,
Oh.
Robert Hurley.
Okay.
They won the game. It was impressive. But on my official visit, they brought in another cornerback out of Tennessee, a guy by nickname Hurricane. So they had one spot left. They ended up offering it to him. So I came home without an offer. My very next visit was to Penn.
Right.
I actually had a bad visit at
You
Penn.
were so mad, though.
I was so bad at Duke. It could have been any school that was next.
And you was going to say yes.
I was
He
going
was
to
gonna say yes.
Yeah. So that's why Penn.
This
No
guy's
other
life
thought.
is just like, there's no plan, whatever. I'm just going,
Man.
whatever
No
happened.
plan. But it was the best decision I ever made, no doubt.
So
a lot of
do you feel like you were prepared as a high school student for why not?
No, not
that was
at
quick.
all.
You said that.
On so many levels, I wasn't prepared for it.
Let's talk about academically first.
Academically, no, not at all. In fact, I struggled my first semester. At the time, I blamed it on football because football in college is a full-time job.
Yes,
I know we'll talk about that. But really, academically, just wasn't prepared. In high school, I got through without doing very little work whatsoever. 4.0, seventh in my class. I don't think I studied.
Wait a minute. Whoa, wait.
Day in my life in high school.
Wait. Okay.
You just can't throw that in there.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. All right, I get the 4.0. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. How did you get to be seventh in your class? How many people was in class? 8? I
had to take out a couple people.
Is that what it was? Was y'all muscled him to the top 10? Is that what it was? Like, you're going to get, listen, understand that you're going to lose a couple points. One brother needs your spot. You need to be 7.
To be honest with you, though, like, we talk about this all the time. We don't have a whole lot of people that's in AP classes and those smart talent, especially African Americans, males in there, and to have a few that was up there. And like we kind of talk about this on other podcasts, is that we come from a community of people who supported each other. So Rob winning in academics was a plus for everybody.
Okay.
So I think it was a sense of accountability, and it's a sense of a pride in to represent where we come from. So and to have one of those the few that's up there, and it just made sense for him to go to Penn or to a Duke because of that. But the interesting thing is that he didn't feel prepared for it.
No, not at all. Like I was saying, I got to Penn, and I'm in class with some very smart people. Elon Musk was a classmate of mine, and these folks they had taken all the AP classes. They had prepared themselves on how to study for those classes where you have no idea what the material is, even though you just sat in that class for an hour. You're still confused. I didn't know how to study. I thought I knew how to study. But no, I was just going through the motions. Right. So I had the first semester at Penn, I had a 2.4.
Wow.
This is someone who had never had a C or a B in his life.
Because I had an opportunity to meet your mom. What did she say when she found out that you down to it?
She said, "You're going to figure it out."
That's it? And then she did left and walked away? Is that where you get that from? When you take over bed and just walk?
Just walk out. Yeah, she didn't.
Yeah.
Man, okay.
And next semester, I figured it out. I had a 3.2 the next semester, and then a 3.6, and then a series of 4.0s, and ended up graduating tops in the engineering class.
Right.
That's impressive.
Wow. Our mom was good for that, though. Like, just, you'll figure it out. You're smart enough, intelligent enough, you got enough people around you to make it happen. And it's one of the things I thank my mother for, especially the type of person that I was when I was younger. And
absolutely.
Just to be able to be thrown into the fire and just kind of figure it out on your own, and it makes you so much stronger, and it makes you more resilient and going through all that stuff. So you went to Penn, and one of the stories he told, the guy came up to him one day, he was like, "Yo, you want to sell these T-shirts?" You know where I'm going with this, right? My brother's like, "Get out of here, I ain't selling no T-shirts." Years later,
I know where you're going.
This is a guy that runs the company and won.
Yeah.
So he could have been a part of the company and won, but he decided not to take that.
Now, was he a student at the time at Penn?
He was a student. So a school like Penn, you're in class with a lot of capable individuals. So I already mentioned Elon Musk, who of course has started Tesla, classmate. Tommy, the guy who started and one, classmate. We played basketball together. I remember him selling the T-shirts.
Did you buy one?
Nah, I didn't even buy T-shirts.
So wait a minute. So you could have been.
That's petty.
That is petty. He offered you a position.
True story. That dude could play basketball.
Really?
He could hoop. Yeah, no doubt.
That's awesome.
He could handle the ball. I didn't know. I mean, at the time, coming from where we came from, people that started businesses, that was foreign to me.
Right.
I was there for a purpose, to get a degree. I wasn't there to meet people. And it's part of the thing, looking back on it, that I wish I had done differently. Networking is such an important aspect of everything you do. And it's sort of the one attribute I'm sort of instilling in my son, is that meet the people, talk to people. Look at every opportunity. You're not just there to get a degree. You're there to meet people.
I tell people all the time, like college, the best thing that it did for me was networking.
Right.
I didn't learn anything new. It wasn't anything different. But, I took communication classes. It wasn't like I was taking math and science and, all other crazy stuff that he was taking. But the value was that network. So when people say I'm not, college material, they're looking at it from the wrong perspective.
Absolutely.
It's definitely the wrong perspective.
It's not a time that you can go and learn something different while you're there, because that college life is crucial to your development. You're talking about people that you can meet. You're going to be with them for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. Some of your best friends you meet in college.
So what other aspects you say you were not prepared for college with?
So I mentioned networking, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? Being comfortable going out and meeting with the professor and asking for help, or going up to him and saying, "Look, you got a internship or research assistant job that I can help you with.
Right.
That took a while to get used to.
It's crazy. It's interesting you say that because I use that today is that I don't want to feel comfortable. Because when I think of comfortable, I'm thinking vacation, right? So when you're on vacation, you're on the beach, you're lazy, you ain't doing anything. You know what I mean? There's that state of being comfortable. So I always look for those opportunities where I'm uncomfortable. What's the next challenge? What am I going to step out of my comfort zone and be able to do things? So coming from where we come in our family, especially our family, you weren't no hugging and saying good morning to people in the morning and stuff like that. So
you guys aren't warm and fuzzy?
No.
Come here, brother. I love you so much.
You could ask my wife who just left about that.
My wife would say the same thing.
Not something I possess.
So to step out that comfort zone to network and to do things, it's difficult. I struggle with it today, but I'm finally to the point where I'm just like, don't really care. I'm not afraid of no at the end of the day. And people blowing us off. And we network all the time. We was networking at the restaurant.
Before it got so uncomfortable that I didn't that was too far. Like there's a lane of uncomfortability that you go in, but then there's a whole nother lane that you say, no, that's okay.
He was speechless. I just shut it down. I was like, yeah.
They were going somewhere I didn't want to go. I didn't want to.
Of course.
That is interesting.
I tell you though, what I was prepared for. Delsey did prepare me for being one of a few in a class, right? Because you mentioned it earlier, like African Americans, particularly where we come from, typically aren't in some of the classes that I took. So when I got to Penn, being one of 200. I was already used to that.
So let me ask this, because even in my college experience, I used to see a whole bunch of people that looked like me that would stand like in front of the cafeteria, right? Yeah. But then I go in the classroom, I don't see nobody. Everyone in my class.
That was definitely the case.
It's interesting you should say that, and I'm sure you feel that same way in business at some point now, because every job that I've had, I've been the only African American male that's it. Whether it was ESPN, whether it was ABC. Yeah, ABC was a little different. We had a couple of African American females, but there was no males. And then I'm in a position in education. I was especially in administration.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's like you're an island on your own. So Delsey does prepare you. That type of education
in an odd way.
I don't
think it was intentional.
No, and it prepared you for some of the ridiculous comments that you will receive. And I give motivational speeches, and one of the stories I tell is when the principal, I won't say his name, came and brought you guys to the office and said, tell me about your beads. And I thought that's the more beads you have, the stronger your posse was. Right. So we talk about being students of your students all the time. We weren't troublettable. We never got in trouble. Right.
No,
we're getting called that.
Keep that on that side, because I will admit that I wasn't so big. Keep that over there. Keep them the Josey family, because I already know what I was a part of. So.
That is funny. So before we go deeper into your career and things, let's talk about staying at the high school level. How important was sports to you?
It was everything. People always look at me and say, you were the studious one, you were the academic. You could care less about sports. That was actually untrue. I cared a lot about it. It was just hard having a twin who excelled in sports, and it probably meant more to him. So I always pretended as though it didn't mean a whole lot to me, but it did.
See, that's that make a comment and walk out the room stuff, right? So he's a person from the outside who would think they could care less, but inside he's that competitor. But he's doing it so that his brother could get the shine. It's really, really interesting.
So you took the sacrifice.
Had to.
So you were Pippin.
If you want to call it that.
Yes, that's who you were. Let him be Mike, and you decide you're going to be Pippin.
Now, let me say this. In all fairness, on the football field, yes, he was Pippin. On the basketball court, I think the roles were reversed.
It was reversed. And, being a twin also, you sort of had that dynamic from birth, right? They always look for ways to distinguish you from your twin. And, again, it was easy to say I was the smart one, he was the athletic one, right? And we just sort of fell into those roles.
Right. And here I come.
Yeah,
I'm like, would that make me the dumb one? That's the only other option.
That's the only role that was left.
You were the blended one. You had them both.
That was
Truthfully, you had them both.
That was it. It is really interesting. But we talked on the way up here too about just in college and how I got to experience the college life 4 years before I was actually in college because of them. Just another one of those life lessons that they were able to teach me. So I was able to see, watch that progression and watch them grow and talk about networking and going to class and things of that nature. And I just kind of just followed suit with it. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that, all right, if my brothers can make it 4 or 5 years and get out of there, I said, I don't have an excuse. So it's like, you know, with that and the pressure of the community, like everybody was doing it. So it was like, I gotta win. Like I can't fail. So having that support system and even having those examples above you is crucial. So I implore everyone to find that role model, whether it's family or not. You know, someone that's out there doing great things. Even us now, I look at people like E.T. the hip hop preacher. I look at Tony Robbins. I look at people that are doing it.
Yes.
It's like, all right, so how can I put our own little flavor onto these things? So that's a big thing.
Well, I say when I actually have an opportunity to meet, you know, your friends and your family, I'm always amazed because you guys, it seemed like it was a community within a community with you guys, and you guys just seem to always support one another and wanted to be there for one another. So I mean, that's big because you don't find that a whole lot in any type of community, regardless of the ethnicity. You don't find that people are willing to help each other and bring them along gradually. Like you could have told your brother, no, you're not coming here. You're too young. You're not ready for this. But something within you said, you know what? He may be able to learn something. So come on, and I'll show you what this college life is about. And maybe this would be the spark to get you to work even harder in school.
There was another element that we were dealing with our family, which I wrote about in the book and things. So my brothers were giving me that safe haven too, because they knew I was there and having to deal with all that. It took a long time for me to understand what they were doing into my adulthood, because at the time, if you read the book, I felt like they were leaving me.
Read the book, everybody.
After Life Music, make sure you read
the book.
But I appreciate, looking at it now as an adult, I appreciate the things that they were able to do for me and on that level. But I learned so much from that experience, just going out there and like I said, just watching their footsteps. I mean, I've been doing it for my whole life, and it's just weird being the youngest one. Like, you got to blaze your own trail at some point. So I would do some stupid, random things at times, and then sometimes it was just like, okay, I got to balance this athlete slash academic person, and all those things.
And look, I think some of my classmates consider you family.
Yeah,
I think you can call Joe. He'll do anything for you.
Absolutely.
Jamie asked about you the other day. Jerome, Jerome's a coach of the Celtics. He could probably get you tickets. I mean, they saw you as being part of the student body. That's how often you were up there.
Yeah.
And with regards to community, I still feel as though I take the community with me when I'm abroad. I was in Korea a couple of weeks ago, and I'm thinking, man, it'd be kind of cool if Demetrius and Damon and all those people could be with me here. I still feel a part of that community, even though I don't get back as often as I would like to.
It's weird that you say that, because I had that I wasn't on that level, but even when I was at ESPN and ABC and experiencing those wonderful things, I was like, I wish everybody could come and experience this thing. And it was just, I don't want to call it weird. You just don't find it today that communities are like that. Right. Like we are just so tight.
We were tight.
And continue to be so.
We raised each other.
Yeah, at the end of the day. Yeah, absolutely. I want to transition into more about your career and just how, if someone's interested in being an engineer, like what kind of tool set, what kind of skills should be developing?
Focus, discipline, sacrifice. Being an engineer is tough, particularly in school. There were Friday nights, you're studying, you're in the lab. You're not going to those parties like everyone else. So it takes a certain level of focus and discipline. It takes commitment. Engineering is known for weeding out folks. I think I started with a few hundred in my engineering class when I started at Penn. There were 35 in my electrical engineering graduating class. Right? Because it gets hard. You got to get used to failing. There were times you'd get a high. The high score on the test would be a 43 out of 100. Right? Now they grade with a curve, but you got to get used to that disappointment.
Right.
And typically engineers aren't used to failing.
Wow.
So
that's interesting. Like, they learn that lesson early. Like, you're going to fail at something. It's going to happen. And I think I had an interview the other day, and I was telling the guy, I was like, I'm more obsessed with my failures than my victories. Like, because there's more of a lesson that needs to be, learned within that failure. So that's really, really interesting that you had to go through that process. Especially you coming, Ivy League, you come from high school, you said, you were top ones in your class, you're used to getting hundreds and without even trying.
Right. You get to school and it's, it's like, I did what?
Comes that professor with that red pen.
Absolutely.
Like, whoa, what happened here? The other thing, is internships are important. While, as an undergrad, I had the opportunity to do some pretty cool things. I worked with NASA one summer. Worked on robotics, did some hologram research, met some really interesting people. Went down to Texas to look at the super collider, which smashes atoms together. So it's seeking out those type of opportunities as well is important because experience really does matter in engineering.
Right.
Yeah, keep using those big words. We're going to get some electrical.
How do we get more African Americans into the STEM-related fields? Specifically African American.
It starts with teachers. We got to get teachers that are comfortable teaching the material and not being uncomfortable with it themselves. Right? A lot of times, I got 3 kids, and a lot of times you'll hear from their teachers, and you can sense that they're uncomfortable and unsure about and not confident in teaching math and science. We got to get people in the classroom that are comfortable teaching it.
Let me ask this, and this is the question that me and your brother talk about all the time: is why they keep trying to recreate new ways to do old math.
Old math. That's an example, right? Math is math. Math is in English.
And I don't understand why they... Okay, so we started out with math that was probably developed back in Africa, and they made it real simple. Easy process. Then as it traveled, I guess, against different countries, then they tried to redesign something that was easy.
I think it's a weeding out process.
Is that what they're trying to do?
He talked about as an engineer, it's a weeding out process. I always look at education as how much can you take before you break.
Before you quit, yeah.
Right,
it's like a Rocky scene.
Right, at the end of the day, seriously, so it doesn't make any sense that they would change, the way they teach math. It doesn't, because now we talked about how can a parent help their kid if they didn't.
I can't.
It's tough for me, and I have a math degree. Right? I sit down, I'm like reading paragraph after paragraph on how to do algebras. Algebra, right? It's that new math.
That is crazy.
But some other things that you can certainly do as parents is exposing your kids to technology. Take them to the science museums.
Which ones would you recommend?
All of them are good in their own right. The Chicago Science Center is phenomenal. The Detroit Science Center is pretty good. There's one in Philly that you can take to. It's really not the museum itself. It's an opportunity for them to explore and discover. And give them the time and space to do that.
Right.
Science is about learning and discovering it fundamentally and problem solving. Right. Do the puzzles. My mother, we spent a lot of time doing puzzles, 2,000 piece, 5,000.
Was that a punishment?
Puzzles.
No, we actually still do it.
I still do it.
For every Christmas, we used to get puzzles, and we would just, put the puzzles together. It was a family bonding thing, but at the same time, it was problem solving and just that focus and trying to get it.
I just thought maybe she just wanted some quiet in the house. Sit down, do this puzzle. Don't say nothing. You got to focus. Don't say nothing.
I still do it with my kids, and then they get their little puzzle, and I still do mine, and they know that all right, this must be Christmas. Daddy got the puzzle out. So, hey, it is what it is. Another thing I would say is that just create as many opportunities for your kids, and it don't have to be anything great and big. Like, for example, my daughter had this leprechaun project, right? And I could have did it for her and everything. I was just like, well, there was a part we had to figure out the ladder and how the ladder going to fall. And I could have figured it out. I just let her go through the process. And then she finally figured out, all right, this thing keeps sliding. I need to put something here. It was all problem solving.
Now I have a question for your brother.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they come home with their science projects, how hard is it for you not to be involved?
It is very difficult for me not to be involved, particularly in an environment like Ann Arbor, where you have a very high academic-based population. There's a lot of parental involvement and a lot of things that go on here. So I think,
are you insinuating that people are cheating?
I'm saying that there's a lot of parental involvement in some of the homework and projects that takes place here. So it's very difficult, but it's important to let them fail and succeed on their own, right? The other thing, to answer your question earlier, is as African Americans, we have to be able to identify and nurture students that we tend to believe sort of gravitate toward engineering. It's not uncommon that the students who would excel at it are called nerds, are put on the outside. They'll figure it out on their own. parents don't engage with them. They're the smart kids. Well, those smart kids need help too. They need mentoring. They need insight. They need direction. It's not every day that they have the confidence in themselves to be okay being different.
Right.
So they need that parental figure or that uncle or that cousin or that friend or that person on the block to say, okay, it's okay for you to be a little bit different. It's okay to get A's. It's okay to be a nerd per se. Because that wasn't always found in our community.
That is really interesting because I'm now thinking about it like you were different from a cultural perspective. Now you add on the fact that you're considered a nerd. Now you might even be outcast from
no doubt.
that culture. Luckily for you, you had people that really didn't care about that. You being a nerd, but just being different on so many different levels. Like, where do you turn to at that particular?
I mean, to be blunt, if I couldn't run, if I couldn't play football or play basketball, I'm not an engineer. To be factual, there was no one developing that capability or skill set in me growing up. Right? They'd take me to football practice. I'd make sure I had a basketball.
Right.
And that's no knock on my mother. It's just those were the tools and environments that were around that we grew up in. Right? People would say, "Hey, gave me a high five if we won a state championship."
Right.
All A's. It was like that. No
Like
one said
whatever,
anything
right.
about it. It's like whatever, right?
That is interesting.
You think you smart, don't you?
Right. I got bored of that.
Smart? You can't start getting bullied.
Got that at
You
home.
get bullied because you're smart. You think you smart, huh?
Right.
Oh my goodness, bullying.
Yeah, no doubt. My uncle said that more than one
The
occasion.
fountain pen.
Yeah,
Talked
no
about that.
doubt, no doubt. But in an odd way, I thought he respected me as well for what I achieved. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let me ask this. So when you mentioned staff earlier, and mainly the ones that are here, like which schools are you guys pulling from Bowes? Is it one school that you guys are particularly fond of, or is it a whole bunch of schools, or you just look at the actual applicant?
Yeah, we'll look at the applicant. Now, we do have a relationship with MIT. MIT is actually an owner in Bowes. So a lot of students will come through there. Dr. Bowes was a professor at MIT.
That's a real person.
Yeah, Dr. Bowes.
I just thought it was a name.
Yeah, no, Dr. Bowes founded the company.
See, this is why you're so smart. Huh? Dr. Bowes, huh? I just thought they just named it Bowes because it sounded cool.
And then when he passed away, he donated most of his shares to MIT. So that,
Wow.
to ensure that it remains a research company and that it will never go public. So.
Wow. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit more to sports.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the recruiting process for you and the
crazy.
Duke and things. And then now you have a son that's went through the process as
Yeah.
well. So as
That
a
was
parent, how involved were you in it? Were you just like kind of taking that back seat, or
No,
you kind
not
of
at all.
out there trying to do things?
No, definitely. We're heavily involved and not involved at the same time. So involved in the sense of helping him identify schools, helping him talk to coaches. 'Cause that's a skill that you need to possess, how to determine what's real and what's not.
Right.
Certainly involved in driving him places, but then not involved in trying to steer him toward a particular decision. I wanted to let him make that decision for himself.
So it didn't hurt your feelings that he didn't go to Penn?
It did. I'll be honest with you. There was a part of me that wanted the legacy and have him go to Penn, but
Right.
he found the right place for him, which made me feel good at the end of the day.
And where's that university?
He's going to Washington University in St. Louis, studying business and Chinese and playing football.
That's
Yeah, let's make some noise. That's impressive.
because I'm a petty person. I'll always admit that I'm petty. So in your mind, when he decided not to choose Penn, was you like, you know what? Well, you can do this all by yourself then.
You'll figure it
out.
You'll figure it out.
Go ahead and figure it out by yourself. You want to listen to me?
Nah.
You go ahead, St. Louis by yourself.
I don't think I ever told him that's where I truly wanted him to go. You know, I think he knew.
Right.
That's where my heart was. But like I said, I'm more than happy where he ended up. You know, I
That's
went down,
impressive.
looked at the school. It's a great fit for him. The coaching there is outstanding. It's a top business school in the country. He couldn't have made a wrong decision, honestly.
That's good. Man, I'm really happy for him and doing things that.
But the process has changed.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the question I was gonna have. So how was the process a little different?
So now there's probably too much information out there on both you as a player and them as a school and as a coaching staff. When we went through it, they had to come to the school to find out about you.
Right.
They didn't have to get on social media and find out. You could find out a lot about a person without ever going.
Absolutely.
In fact, the school that he ended up picking was a school we didn't spend a whole lot of time with. Right. I think we went to visit. I went there once. The coach met with us once. Never came into the house. got an offer, right? I think half his offers came from schools we never visited.
Wow.
Because they can get the information online.
So parents, listen, you got kids that are out there in high school, be careful what they're posting out there, because it doesn't go away. You can delete it off of the account all you want, but once you hit send, it's out in cyber world and anyone can find it. So that
I had control of my son's social media accounts for that reason. Absolutely. You don't want them to, they're young, right? They're going to make mistakes. So you got to let some of that happen, but you could make the wrong mistake and ruin an opportunity.
Even as an employer, you got to be careful like that stuff. Because I know when we hire people, the first thing I do is go on social media and look it up. But there was one teacher I remember, she had a stellar resume, everything would look like a perfect fit. I clicked on that Facebook account, saw something inappropriate. I was like, you know what? We're not even going to bring her in here for. So be careful out there in social media land. Do you think that these camps and things that these kids are going into is a racket?
It's about most of them are about money. There's no doubt. I mean, and we had to learn that the hard way. We went to a number of camps, even the ones that are at schools. They're generating a lot of revenue from that. So it's a business. But you have to look at it as an opportunity for you as well, right? Because it does give you the chance to get in front of coaches. It gives you an opportunity to visit a school. Part of the discovery process for us was trying to figure out what type of school fit for him. Urban, rural, large, small, and going to those camps.
What about weather? Because it's cold outside. Did he take into consideration?
Listen, he's from Michigan. They're already used to that cold weather.
Weather wasn't much of a factor for him.
So I have a question for you, not to get off topic about the recruiting process with your son. My whole thing is that if I had that much ability and the University of Hawaii came knocking at my door,
You going, huh?
what would you have done if Hawaii said you can come and you can play both sports? How do you say no? This is right after your Duke visit. So you're already mad, you're bitter.
He's out.
So I'm glad they didn't come knocking. So I would have probably gone to Hawaii at that time. But looking back on it as a parent, you have to make sure you take some of the emotion out of the decision and help the student make what's right for them long term. Because you are making fundamentally a career decision.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So you got to pick the school that's going to enable you for future and long term success. So academics is important. And I know some of these top athletes aren't really looking at that. They're looking at, okay, how do I get to the next level? Well, you really need to make a school that's based on the level after that, right? So when you do stop playing,
that's what Jay said.
Right? And that's not easy to do because it happens so fast. Coaches are telling you all types of things, and you're getting input from friends, families, colleagues. Everyone has an opinion on where your son or your daughter should go.
I'm gonna tell you how I picked Temple. One day I went there. The year before I went there was move-in day. I saw all these girls outside on move-in day, and I said, "That's where I'm going."
Right? That's how some of these athletes make decisions.
I thought you was going to say the Greek, but no, you were move-in day.
Okay, because I knew these girls was going to school.
You were there doing the Greek in Philly during that time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we rolling up.
We happened. Yeah, we went there once or twice.
He's down.
Yeah, but he said in the lab because he was working.
Not that weekend.
Not that weekend.
That Penn Relay weekend.
That weekend. Nah, there was no lab that day.
That is interesting. So you made a decision at some point in your college career to give up sports.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision?
So I knew I was never going to the next level, and I knew that I wanted to be an engineer, and being one of few. In fact, I may have been the only engineer in the freshman class on the football team. I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable. Also, at the time, I was vegetarian. I was a vegan, actually, and trying to manage that and play football, that was tough.
Yeah,
and quite honestly, I felt like I was missing out a lot.
Right. Do you regret making that decision?
I regret, absolutely. I should have played one more year. And I'll probably encourage my son and my kids to give it another chance, right? Because I think if I had played another year, I probably would have played the entire time.
Right. I had the same thing as I quit playing Temple, and it's one of the only thing I probably regretted in my life was quitting. But you had mentioned earlier that it's a business, and it kind of takes the fun out of the sport. And especially if you're somebody like me, I didn't really love football like that.
You gotta love it.
You gotta love it, and it's just it takes it out. So And I make sure that I try to tell students all the time, make sure you enjoy your experience in high school and enjoy that school.
So let me ask this: when you guys are in college and you making this decision, right, that either one of the coaches or one of the assistant coaches come in and say, "Hey, listen, make sure that before you do this, that you're not going." Nobody came.
No one said that. No one, and I didn't have. My father definitely was not around much at the time. No one came to me and said you should think about it.
Right.
They made it easy.
So
you're absolutely right.
So let me ask. So when you guys made that decision, you didn't have to make it while the coach was standing in front of you to say, "Coach, I'm not going to."
I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did. We was in summer camp, and I had this duffel bag full of clothes. I had no TV and nothing in the room at the time. And I'm sitting there, and I was like, "Why am I doing this?" Like we just came off of 2 days. My body was beat up. I was like, "Why am I doing this?" I called my mom and said, "Come pick me up." She thought I was just gonna come for the day or whatever. Grabbed all my stuff, and I was out, and I left. And the thing that made me regret it the most was my brother was getting married, and he had changed his wedding day because we were going to play the University of Western Michigan around that time. And I had quit. And I was like, when I look back at it, I was like, yo, he changed everything. And I just up and left. And it was like, yo, why'd you do that? And I just felt the same way. I was like, I'm not going to make it to the next level. Right. I'm out here getting beat up. I can't take the classes I want to take because of the schedule thing. And I was like, you know what? I can't. I'm done. So it was a tough decision, but it's interesting.
Nobody came to look for either one of you guys?
Part of the reason I think it was easy for me is the staff that recruited me was in transition at the time. So they had brought in a new head coach. He had brought in his staff. So the people that brought me in changed. So maybe if the recruiting coach that I had come in with knew, maybe he would have lobbied to keep me around. But no, I mean, some of these schools, they got 100 kids on the team, right? They're not going to police everybody.
No, the point I want to make for all our listeners is to say that when they come into your living room and they sell you this dream, he's going to be my son, and I'm going to love him.
That changes the second you hit campus.
Well, the thing is, and when I took Langston to the Penn camp this past summer, and it was like the coach was like, my job is to find your replacement as soon as you step on campus, and that's the case. So every year somebody's trying to replace you, and if you ain't into the sport and you not performing, guess what? You might have that great shirt on that we talked about,
the great sweater.
So there's no loyalty here at the next level, right? There's no obligation because your daddy played for you, or you're a friend of the program, or they like you. Nah, that's not college.
But I wanted to point that out because a lot of times when you have these AAU coaches that come into your living room, when you have these college coaches, even these high school coaches, and they come in and they sit down and say, listen, I'm going to love him and I'm going to look out for his best interest. You don't have to worry about it, Mom. You don't have to worry about it, Dad. I got him.
No.
But then when he's going through that time where as though that he's unsure about what he wants to do, and now nobody's around to even have the conversation, or rather not if you should continue this or go and do something different.
Right.
So that right there, I mean, that's major. So I mean, I want people to understand that
good point.
This is a business, and it's a business only.
The business of winning. What have you done for me lately?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Backtrack a little bit. You were on a state championship team for basketball.
Yes, sir.
And we had a discussion at dinner today, and we've always had this discussion. I don't think we've ever played one-on-one seriously together.
I would beat you.
See what I'm saying? See?
Interesting.
It wouldn't even be close.
See? That's what he's claiming.
All right, so game to 11, who wins?
Me.
I'm winning.
I spot him 10. I still win.
You spot him 10. He's not getting them. So is this make it take it? Is that what it is?
Whatever he wants.
Are you taking him in the post, or are you just going to?
He can't do it. He's too old.
Nah.
I'm not talking. I'm talking about this in the prom. In
the prime time.
In prom, because we always had this conversation: who's better, LeBron or Mike? I'm talking about in your brother's prom and your prom. Who's better?
So truthfully, I'm probably a better defender. He could probably score. He was stronger.
I think it would be a good game.
It would be.
It'd be a good
Truthfully,
matchup.
it'd be a good
matchup.
Okay, so let me give you guys partners, right? You get Demetrius, right? He gets Jay. Who wins that?
Close.
See? I think it's close.
That's not even fair.
I think it's close.
Sorry, Jay, but that ain't even. They won't even be close.
All right, let's go deeper. Your team, versus the best team that I've been on. Let's say I'm going to say my sophomore year. Who wins that game?
Dude, we were 27-0. We won a state title.
It was luck. Y'all had bad. It was a bad league that year. The league was down that year. So
I don't even know who was your 5.
That's bad. That's bad. It's like he never came to see you play. That's bad. Like I don't even know who's
him, Jay,
Randy, Nino, and I think Tom Freeman was.
All right, you do know, guys. You do know it's like 12 people on the team. Like you.
No. There was 12 people. There was. They got the gray jerseys on. They practiced though.
He said, "Coach, he's tired. Sub. No sub. No sub."
I don't know. That team was special.
That team was special. It would have been tough. I think we would have gave y'all a game for at least 3 quarters. Then y'all probably would have beat us at the end of that.
He doesn't agree.
So, as you know, we lost one game that year, right?
Y'all got blown out that year.
And I posted on Twitter probably last year to Demetrius, I want a rematch. I want to play St. Anthony. Demetrius shot back, no.
He didn't want no part of that one?
no part of that one.
So, all right, who did he have at St. Anthony?
Roderick
Rose at the time.
Hurley was on that team.
His younger brother was on the team. They won the tip and threw an alley-oop off the tip.
They
executed a play off the tip.
Wait a minute. All right, so jump ball, dude got it and then
on
he
the wing,
tossed
it to somebody alley-oop off the tip.
Next play, they get the ball, another dunk.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds, they had 2 dunks.
The game was over.
So it's 4-0. You say, you know what?
It was
Coach, back to playing up. Let's go home. Let's sustain.
But I want a rematch.
You want to play him again?
Oh, no doubt.
I don't know.
No doubt.
That team was tough.
They were tough.
That team was absolutely tough.
Yeah.
We transition a lot on our show to talk about music. And I know you listen or used to listen to. I don't know what you listen to now and you travel so much. But who you listening to right now?
Nobody.
You don't listen to music?
Nah. So my son listens. He and I listen to some of the old school stuff. He's in the Tribe. I went to a Run DMC concert with Rakim, which was pretty cool to see in EPMD. I took my son to see an old school hip hop show that came to Detroit. They had Mobb Deep, so he got to see Mobb Deep before Prodigy passed on. EPMD was there. Naughty by Nature was there. So it's kind of cool that he's in the old school hip hop.
Right.
But truthfully, I don't really have a whole lot of time to listen to much of anything. He's into Kendrick. I know enough to know that I'm not into Kendrick.
Okay.
So let me ask you this question, because we had this debate on the way up, and we're going to ask Kyle this on the next podcast. The best hip-hop love song.
Best hip-hop
Your top 5.
Song. Wow. That's crazy.
That's a crazy question.
I used to love her, Common.
Ooh. Yeah, that's okay.
I give you that one. I'm still going with LL Cool J. I Need
knew you
Love.
was gonna say that. That was number 2.
Up there.
You got him at number 2?
Number 2, yeah.
That was the first one ever. He set the trend.
Yeah, no doubt. But what Common did was special.
That was
He talked
special.
about his love for hip hop.
That was special. I'm going Method Man and Mary. I gotta throw them up there. Trying to think of another one.
I'm a fan of Renee. He said it doesn't count because she died in
That's not a love song.
It's not a love song.
That's not a love song.
Yeah, I like the song.
She died at the end.
How's that a love
I
song?
always used to want to go to St. John's too. So any song mentioning St. John's, I'm like, yeah.
Renee was pretty good.
Oh my goodness! So you watch a lot of movies on these flights or no?
Yeah.
What's the last one that got you choked up?
Choked up to as in
Cry.
Cry?
Tear jerker that's coming down.
I'll go with a lump in your throat. I don't see you
in my
crying.
That's crying too. It's like
I saw Black Panther a few times.
Oh, what was your thoughts about that movie?
I went. I'm not a comic book
Neither.
fan, right? So I enjoyed it simply for the movie itself and the message, and it was a little unpredictable for me at times, and it was a good movie. Highly recommend people go out and check it out.
Were you impressed with the technology?
I was impressed with how they a woman sort of drove the technology. The technology itself kind of impressive, but the fact that they had a sister sort of be the focal point was important to me.
Yeah, that was dope too. It lost me at the end when that spaceship hit the ground in the projects, though. That's why I was
real.
Like, I'm getting up out
I lived in the projects. You never know who's going to show up in the projects. I lived in the projects.
It's a metaphor, though, right?
I can see if they made a steel of rims or something off the spaceship or something, but that wasn't real.
You never know what's going to happen in the projects.
Right, no doubt.
That is too funny. Well, we definitely thank you for being on this show. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Oh, wait, we forgot my
okay. You got to ask your all-time.
So here's the thing, right? I'm a petty guy. I'm really petty.
I got that. Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you: Are you petty as well?
Yeah, he think he can beat me in basketball. That's petty.
That's not petty.
That's
That's factual.
See?
I know that guy.
See?
Nah, I'm not petty.
You're not petty at all.
Nah, not at all. Can't be in my business.
Really? So when you go out and you're having these business meetings and they mispronounce your name, that doesn't bother you?
Nah, typically I'm good with it.
Really?
Yeah, no, not at all. And talking about being one of only, some of these countries, they've never seen an African American.
Do they touch your hair?
You get all types of things. My daughter and I were in China.
I'm bald. I'll miss my hair.
My daughter probably took 50 pictures.
What?
Really?
People, yeah. I mean, they're coming up. Can I take a picture? First they sneak in it. Then they come up. They hug. They just haven't
Next
seen.
podcast is in China. I'm getting hugs all day long.
You want hugs?
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
No, you gotta say ChiCi.
That's the name of this podcast.
ChiCi.
But nah, to answer your question, nah, I'm not petty.
Not at all.
No, it can't be.
Really?
You gotta keep it moving. Take it lighthearted.
You might met your challenge here.
Nah.
I'm trying to think right there.
So you don't remember any petty moments when you guys were growing up? He has a twin. It has to be some
I
petty.
tried to stab him once
Yeah, I was gonna say that he did try and stab me.
You tried to stab him?
because he was being petty.
I wasn't being petty.
You were being petty at that
No,
time.
not at the time.
So why would somebody try to stab you? Like,
Man,
that's personal.
'cause he crazy. That's why.
Listen, I had a little anger issue when I was younger.
just a
Just a
tad.
little. I threw an encyclopedia at him once.
Yeah.
He's smart, so he probably took it and
sad.
said, I already read that book.
And he knew I wasn't going to stab him. He stood there with his hands crossed. Like, go ahead.
Go ahead, do it.
I thought about it.
He talked you
I
out
don't
of it.
remember what it was
I
over.
don't even know. It don't even matter.
Oh yes, he tried to
It
stab
don't
me.
even
Talked you
matter.
out of stabbing him. He used that Jedi mind trick.
He did.
I'm staying here.
Uh-huh.
Because it was in the movie. Did you see the last Star Wars movie? Because I love sci-fi movies. When he stood in front of the guy and the guy he swung, but it was actual hologram. That's what you was doing.
Yeah, I was going right through it. It was a hologram right through it. That is absolutely crazy. So we're going to wrap this podcast up.
Yes.
We figured that he's not petty, but we always ask our guests to leave one last word of encouragement or, some words of wisdom for our audience. So if there's anything that you would like to share, either from a parent perspective or educator perspective or whatever.
Nah, I would just say, to all the students out there, be you. If being you is different, be you. And to the parents, let their kids be them. Be who they are and nurture it. Definitely. I got the wide spectrum within my own family. My kids are very different. But my goal as a parent is to let them be themselves and nurture that development.
Mr. Spence.
Well, I'll say this: it is always embrace your pettiness, but as well as being able to have open conversation, open dialogue with your children is important, and try not to let anyone come within the family and divide. Because, like you said before, when the family feuds, nobody wins. So, be very careful about the people you allow inside your home to be able to talk to your kids.
That's deep. Today's lesson is you'll figure it out. As my mother would say, there's going to be situations in your life where you're going to be your back's going to be against the wall and you're not going to really have any resources to really gravitate to. But if you believe in yourself and believe in your capabilities, you'll be able to figure it out. In business and life and relationships, work hard. And the key thing is your hustle and your work. And I keep preaching that, and I keep preaching it because life is going to throw you some curveballs. Things are not going to come to you just because you are you. You got to get up and you got to go out there and grind and go after it. And I see a lot of people that are failing and not getting where they want to go in life for the simple fact that you are afraid to hustle and you're afraid to get up and go. You spend way too much time trolling in social media. You spend way too much time watching Love and Hip Hop and all your favorite shows when you could be out there grinding. People ask us why we're crazy. You're my brother. He woke up 5 o'clock in the morning to get his running on. So there's time where you can get your rest and there's times where you can go out there and grind. So on behalf of the Empowerment Perspective, I want to thank my brother for being in the building and I know you're tired and I definitely appreciate you being on. And we're on our way to Chicago, baby.
Absolutely.
See my man Kyle Santilli out there. And another one of our people that we grew up with. I think he is the #1 rated DJ in Chicago, so we're going to make sure we shout him out. And also Russell Mewis, the graphic guy who does our graphics on the Empowerment Perspective. He's going to be on the podcast as well. So, like I said, we just want to keep moving and keep hustling. So until next time, stay empowered.